Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Church in Providence, where we love beyond belief, and welcome especially to this morning. I'm Reverend Liz Lerner-McClay, and on behalf also of our Director of Religious Education, Kathy Sagal, and all our First U Sunday morning crew, it is good to be with you. This is the day we have been given. Let's make the very most of it, starting now, together. As it says in the Haggadah my family uses every year, we are here to celebrate once again the very first festival that the Jewish people ever observed. The first Pesach took place in Egypt thousands of years ago. Many Jews consider Pesach the most beautiful of all holidays, and they love it with a special love. When we think of Pesach, we think of the warmth and joy of the Seder. The Seder brings together families, friends who eat and drink together, sing together, and recite the old yet ever new story of the Exodus from Egyptian slavery. Each Seder guest has a copy of the Haggadah. Haggadah means to tell, and that is the purpose of the Seder, to tell the dramatic and exciting events that Pesach recalls. When we join in reading the Haggadah, we fulfill the mitzvah, the duty that the Torah commanded long ago. You shall tell the Pesach story to your children in the days to come. I completely agree that many of us love this holiday with a special love. I certainly do. I have so many memories from when I was really little, right up through last year, of Seders with my family, special dishes, the family that hosted year after year, the generations handing the traditions and the hosting on over time. Last year, my family did it over Zoom. This year, we'll be doing it over Zoom again. But even that will be worth it.
I also grew up celebrating Passover, and it was my favorite Jewish holiday. Our extended family lived far away, so we often had a simple Seder with our neighbors. When my own children were growing up, I made sure that we retold the ancient story and its traditions. I spent hours preparing the fancy meal and always invited a friend or two to our table who had never experienced a Seder. Each year, we connected the ancient journey to our current lives. Right now, in this extraordinary time, there are certainly life challenges: to stay healthy and free from violence, to keep or find jobs, to discover new ways to learn, to help all people have secure food, shelter, and medical care, to stay connected while physically distanced. It's important to recognize what these serious concerns take from us, whether we choose them or whether they are imposed upon us by circumstance. In fact, the point of Passover is that an important journey is made up of layers and layers of challenge. Honoring the struggle helps us to live into the lessons of the journey. It also helps us realize arriving at our own promised land, even though there may be still more for us to learn and do. Retelling the Passover story can help us find our way through our days with hope and courage.
Hello, we are the Allsworth family. I'm Elizabeth, this is Henry, and our sons Kian and Hayden. We light this chalice flame as a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith community. This light also burns in our hearts, and it lights our path towards harmony and justice and hope for all.
We don't want to assume anything, so let's start at the beginning. Passover is an 8-day holiday, but it's the first 2 nights that are the most important, celebrated with a ceremonial dinner on both nights. The ceremonial dinner, the Seder, is basically the best lesson plan ever created. Brilliant pedagogy, and maybe also the earliest ever intentional, multi-generational, lay-led service, featuring actual things you can touch, taste, smell, eat, foods, and songs, and stories that are distinctive and special and ancient with easily remembered symbolism. There's group participation, something for every single person to do. There is shared storytelling. There are special roles for the youngest folks, because the whole point is to pass the story on to future generations. There's major drama, plagues. There's immediate relevance. Everyone at the Seder is encouraged to tell the ancient story with a personal identification. This is what happened to me. This is what was done for me, because the story belongs to all its inheritors, to all those who have taken hope from this story. It's so powerful. It is still the central story for the Jewish people, but also now to other enslaved people who have struggled for freedom, and to liberation theologians and their followers in Latin America and around the world, promoting support and freedom for poor and struggling people everywhere. The Passover story is so important to so many people, including many of us here at First Unitarian.
You can find the whole story of Passover right here in the Haggadah. Haggadah is like a big order of service that takes you through the whole Seder from beginning to end. And there are lots and lots of versions. And the other thing that takes you through the story is a ceremonial Seder plate, a special plate on the table where the whole story of Passover is symbolized in very important, very simple, very ancient food, specially chosen to recall the story. The flavors, textures, sweetness, or bitterness all play a role in helping us learn and remember the ancient tale, and I have one here. Zroa, the roasted bone, is symbolic of the Paschal lamb offered as the Passover sacrifice in biblical times. Vegetarian households sometimes use a roasted beet. Baitza, roasted or boiled egg, a symbol of life.
I gotta say, that one is roasted, and I roasted it, and I thought, oh my goodness, I thought that what was gonna happen would be the same thing that happened the last time I roasted an egg, which was a long time ago, and it was the first Seder that my husband Tim ever went to, because he's not Jewish, and it split, it kind of burst in the oven, and it looked incredibly disgusting. It kind of boiled out of the shell, so it was like partly egg, partly shell, and it looked very like it had mutated. And so we just had it on the plate, and we went through the Seder, and then Tim was helping us clean up, right? It was all new. He had never been to a Seder in his life, and he was like, what do I do with this? And I was like, oh God, throw it away. It's so incredibly disgusting. And he's like, I'm not gonna throw it away. It's a perfectly edible egg. Like, it's not actually, and I was like, it's too gross. Nobody's gonna eat it. And he's like, I'll eat it. And I was like, you don't have to eat it. He's like, I'm not gonna throw it away. And I was like, fine, eat it. I dare you to eat that egg. And he was like, fine, I will. Later, and I was like, no, you gotta do it now. I double dog dare you to eat the egg right now. And he was like, okay, because he never backs down from a dare. So he finished peeling it, he popped it in his mouth. It had been roasted in the oven. It was like rubber. And he chewed that egg with his mouth full of egg, because he'll never give up, for like, I'm not kidding, 10 minutes. Like, it went on and on and on. I'm not even exaggerating. It was the grossest thing ever. And I was all excited to roast an egg again and be like, look how gross it is, imagine eating it. But it actually came out, yeah, it came out really pretty and perfect, and I don't know why. I'm a little disappointed in how nice the egg is. I'm just saying.
Well, now we'll always remember the Tim story. Next, we have maror, bitter herbs, often horseradish, sometimes in the jar all chopped up, but this is actually a piece. And it symbolizes the bitterness of slavery. Haroset, mixture of chopped fruit and nuts with wine or grape juice, cinnamon, honey. Yummy. It's symbolic of the mortar used by the Israelite slaves to lay bricks for Pharaoh's monuments. Karpas, green vegetable, often parsley, symbolizing the coming of spring and the rebirth of hope. Salt water. We dip the vegetable into the salt water to remind us the bitter tears our ancestors shed when they were slaves. And wine, or juice. Drinking or sipping from 4 cups of wine or juice symbolizes gratitude for individual and community freedom. Then, of course, there's matzah. Matzah, flat or unleavened bread, since there was no time before the Hebrews' journey for their bread to rise. And an extra cup, a cup for Elijah, an extra place set at the table even for the prophet of justice. The legend tells us that Elijah will appear to help in times of need, so the door is opened to welcome him. All of these are used to tell the Passover story, a sad story actually, and a hopeful yet unfinished story. But the mood isn't sad or uncertain, it's joyful and fun.
And before we say any more, I really think we need to name the elephant in the room, which I know everyone is thinking about right now. The Passover feature that means so much to so many.
I know what you're thinking. Gefilte fish!
Oh yeah, so delicious, light, flavorful. What a dab of horseradish on top, it's perfect. My Aunt Shirley used to serve it on a bed of matzah that had been soaked in gefilte fish broth with little carrot flowers on top of each loaf. The best part of every Seder meal, bar none. Lately, gefilte fish has come in for a lot of criticism, which I don't understand at all, and frankly, do not appreciate. So if you're gonna diss the gefilte, Kathy, be prepared. I'm willing to go to the mat on this.
But Liz, wait just a minute. No debate from me. Guess what? I've always liked it. Yum.
Well then, I guess we got that resolved. Gefilte fish is awesome.
End of story. Well, not exactly. We haven't told the Passover story yet, but you know what I mean.
I do. And before the story, we have some other important rituals to honor, beginning with our joys and sorrows. The joys and sorrows of our church community. We light candles for them this week, and they include a candle of joy for Steph Carroll, who was discharged from the hospital and continues to recover at home. And a candle of joy especially for the children's performances in Reverend Rogers' Spring Cleaning for the Soul. Kudos to all. Also, at the very beginning of last week, we all learned to our sorrow of another mass shooting, this time in Boulder, Colorado. Even in a holiday of celebration, we recognize the sorrows and hardships we mourn, and we seek to heal. 3 grocery employees, a first responder police officer, a father, 2 mothers, an artist, a young man just starting out in life, a community theater actress. We mourn the loss of their lives, and we remember our commitments to a just and peaceful nation. Eric Talley, 51, Ricky Olds, 25, Kevin Mahoney, 61, Lynn Murray, 62, Denny Strong, 20, Terry Leiker, 51, Trelona Bardkowiak, 49, Jody Waters, 65, Nevin Stanisic, 23, Suzanne Fountain, 59. Our prayer this morning is drawn from a traditional prayer for Passover. It lifts up the hope and determination for a better world, a better future, and humanity living into our best aspirations. Following the prayer, we hold silence for personal meditation and prayer. During that time of silence, if you at home have lost someone close to you in the past year, we invite you to stand or raise your hand in silent witness of your loss, and then we will close with our singing bowl. Hallelujah. We celebrate. Our song is one with the chants of old in the days of the temple's glory. On this very festival, they sang their psalms of praise, the Hallel. Our song is one with all the hymns of flesh and blood which sing of the triumph of people together over the powers of destruction, and will be one with the praise songs of all peoples. Praise for the earth restored to its goodness. Praise for the people restored to themselves. Praise for life fulfilled in sacred celebration. Praise the sacred, all ye nations. Amen.
Pack nothing. Bring only your determination to serve and your willingness to be free. Don't wait for the bread to rise. Take nourishment for the journey, but eat standing. Be ready to move at a moment's notice.
Do not hesitate to leave your old ways behind. Fear, silence, submission. Only surrender to the need of the time, to love justice and walk humbly with your God.
Begin quickly, before you have time to sink back into old slavery. Set out in the dark. I will send fire to warm and encourage you. I will be with you in the fire, and I will be with you in the cloud.
I will give you dreams in the desert to guide you safely home to a place you have not yet seen. I am sending you into the wilderness to make a new way and learn my ways more deeply.
Some of you will be so changed by weathers and wanderings that even your closest friends will have to learn your features as though for the first time. Some of you will not change at all.
Some will be abandoned by your dearest loves and misunderstood by those who have known you since birth and feel abandoned by you. Some will find new friendship in unlikely faces, and old friends as faithful and true as the pillar of God's flame.
Sing songs as you go and hold close together. You may, at times, grow confused and lose your way. Touch each other and keep telling the stories. Make maps as you go, remembering the way back from before you were born.
So, you will be only the first of many waves of deliverance on these desert seas. It is the first of many beginnings, your Paschal tide. Remain true to this mystery. Pass on the whole story. Do not go back. I am with you now, and I am waiting for you.
thousands of years ago, the Jewish people moved to Egypt. At first, they were welcome in Egyptian society, but later, when they became very numerous, Egyptians felt threatened. And I have to say, this totally reminds me of the immigration crisis in our own country today. I wish our nation could take a lesson from this story. Eventually, a pharaoh came to power who decreed that the Hebrews, the Jewish people, would be enslaved and oppressed from that day forward. He even ordered no Hebrew families would be allowed to keep any boy babies.
But at least one baby boy, Moses, was saved, and after many remarkable twists of fate, he grew up in the Pharaoh's palace, raised by Pharaoh's daughter, treated as a prince. He didn't even know he was a Hebrew, and still he saw how wrong the treatment of the Hebrew people was, and he couldn't bear it. One day he cracked. He killed a man who was savagely beating a Hebrew slave. Then he had to flee to a different country to hide from his crime. But while he was hiding
and living as a simple shepherd, Moses heard a divine voice telling him to go back to Egypt and save the Hebrew people, telling Pharaoh that he had to release them. And Moses went. But it took a long time, and there was a lot more drama, including all the plagues, rivers of blood, an invasion of frogs, an invasion of lice, an invasion of wild beasts, a blight that wilted all of their crops, a plague of huge pimples all over the Egyptians' bodies, a massive hailstorm, an invasion of grasshoppers that ate all the crops that were left at this point, a time when day did not come and it just stayed night all the time for a long, scary time, and ultimately the death of Pharaoh's own son, before Pharaoh finally agreed to free the Hebrews and kept his word. The plagues are not just a turning point in the story. As most Passover Haggadahs point out, the plagues are understood as, and now I'm quoting from a Haggadah, as a reminder and a warning to all nations. When they oppress any of their people, when they show no concern for human beings, when they do not care about human suffering, they are preparing for destruction. A nation which wants to grow and prosper must grant liberty and justice for all. And the Haggadah concludes, the Torah commands, proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants.
After all those plagues, the Hebrews were still afraid that Pharaoh would change his mind. He had done that a lot already. So they grabbed their stuff and took off without even waiting for their daily bread to finish baking. As soon as they were on their way, the Hebrews came to the Red Sea, and by then, you guessed it, Pharaoh had changed his mind again and was coming after them with his army. More drama. The Hebrews were caught between the sea and the approaching troops, but then a miracle happened, and the sea drained away right in front of them. Even more drama. And they trusted what they saw, stepping onto the wet sea floor with the walls of sea on either side of them, and raced across just in time before the sea came back and closed the way behind them. Their challenges were not over. Really, in some ways, they had just begun. Now they were in the desert, searching for a new home, and it would be a long time and a lot of struggle before they found it. But they were free. They were hopeful. They were on their way.
So, that is the story of Passover. And usually, after it's been told, is a perfect time to sing my favorite Passover song, Dayenu, which was sent to you in the Friday email blast from the church. So I'm telling you that right up front so that while I continue talking about Dayenu, you can go grab that email, find it, and print out the lyrics. because we're going to sing this together. It's going to sound way, way better to you if you are singing along with me when the time comes in just a minute. So you've got time to go grab the lyrics if you didn't prepare them already, or if you've got them, then yay, you're good to go. Dayenu is a Hebrew word. It means, I love that it's all just one word. For that alone, we would have been grateful. Dayenu. And the point of the song is that so many amazing things happened to make it possible for the Hebrews to escape. Even if only one or just some of the things had happened, it would still have been amazing. It would still have given the people reasons for hope and a way to keep going. The song goes through the whole story of Exodus and the exit from Egypt and talks a little about a few more good things that came after, but it's always understood as really just a Passover song. So we are going to sing it here. We, me. I don't know, are you going to join in and like boost? Okay, excellent. And we're inviting you to sing it at home. And the thing that you've got to be ready for is that each verse is going to get a little faster. So by the end, we're going to be singing as fast as we possibly can. I hope everybody can keep up. We're doing the slowest verse first in Hebrew, and then again in English, and then all the rest just in English. So here we go. Ilu hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, dayenu, 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 dayenu. Had God brought us out of Egypt, but not split the sea before us, but not split the sea before us, dayenu, 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 dayenu. Had God split the sea before us, but not fed us with the manna, but not fed us with the manna, dayenu, 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 dayenu. Had God fed us with the manna, but not brought us to Mount Sinai, but not brought us to Mount Sinai, dayenu, 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 dayenu. Had God brought us to Mount Sinai, but not given us the Sabbath, but not given us the Sabbath, dayenu, 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 dayenu. Had God given us the Sabbath, but not given us commandments, but not given us commandments, dayenu, 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 dayenu. Had God given us commandments, but not led us into Israel, but not led us into Israel, dayenu, 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 dayenu. Had God led us into Israel, but not built the holy temple, but not built the holy temple, dayenu, 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 dayenu. Had God built the holy temple, but not given us the Torah, but not given us the Torah, dayenu, 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 dayenu. I hope you ended at the same time I did. It's a lot more fun to do that song out loud together next year in First Parish here in First Unitarian. May that be so. And that brings us, speaking of what we do together and how much better it is, that brings us to the offering. Passover is a holiday of generous welcome, generous sharing, and generous hope. Please channel some generosity to meet the spirit of the day and give to our church's weekly offering. You can do it now, or you can do it later after the service. You can use our website. You can use good old snail mail. Thank you. Thank you for all that you give, and all that you do, and all that you are.
The basket floats on the river, on the mighty Nile. The basket floats calmly, smoothly. The basket floats silently. And the waves move quietly, gently, and delicately, as though they were careful not to harm the child. And the waves are not as wicked as Pharaoh. They will not drown the savior of the slaves. Schwimmt das Kastel auf den Teich, auf den großen Nil. Schwimmt das Kastel ruhig gleich, schwimmt das Kastel still. Und ich fall es gehen still, gehen zart und lind, wie sie Wolken hielten sich, ton allein dem Kind, schwimmt das Kastel auf dem Teich, auf dem großen Nil, schwimmt das Kastel ruhig gleich, schwimmt das Kastel still. Oh, dich fall es sehnen doch nicht wie Paare schlecht, nicht der Trink in Wellensee, Moschiachen von Knecht, schwimmt das Kastel auf dem Teich, auf dem großen Nil, schwimmt das Kastel ruhig gleich, schwimmt das Kastel still.
Our commitment drive continues this month, and we are thinking about how we turn love into action. We saw in this time of quarantine and isolation that many communities of color were enduring the worst conditions and hardships. We saw the need more than ever to achieve our desire to build diversification and to dismantle racism in our society and in ourselves. Our new partnership with Bethel AME is a meaningful action, especially now, to build relationships and understanding. It's a big step towards broadening ourselves and our inclusivity. We look forward to responding with more activities to help us all grow, and we invite you to contribute to this effort, to all our efforts, by raising your pledge for the coming year, if you possibly can, by at least 5%. If you can do more, please do that, because we need it. And if 5% is too much of a stretch, please give just as much as you can, whatever that is. We will use every gift we receive with much gratitude and care. But we don't want to go backwards. We need your pledge, especially this year, more than ever before. Thank you so much. Please, please consider getting your pledge done today, sometime today, this afternoon, this evening, and thank you.
We all have a journey we're making. Many of us are on multiple journeys at the same time. Journey through COVID, journeys for greater justice, journeys for greater self-awareness, literal journeys to reunite with loved ones after too long apart.
Some of our journeys are an exodus out of something. Some of our journeys are a pilgrimage going to somewhere. Either way, always keep going. The journey is a blessing.
We carry the flame of peace and love and hope until we meet again.
Hi, First You family. Today I am going to sing a beautiful song by Emma's Revolution. It is sometimes called Keep on Moving Forward, and I've sometimes heard it called Never Turning Back. And the song structure is such that the melody repeats and the words repeat, so that one line is repeated a few times and then the refrain is repeated a couple times. And because of that, I think that even if you're unfamiliar with the words or the melody, you'll be able to join in and sing some harmony with me. And if you don't feel like singing, maybe you have something like this, a shekere, that you could drum with, or maybe you have two hands you can clap with, or maybe you love to dance and sway along. We're gonna keep on moving forward. We're gonna keep on moving forward. We're gonna keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna keep on dancing proudly. We're gonna keep on dancing proudly. We're gonna keep on dancing proudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna keep on singing loudly. We're gonna keep on singing loudly. We're gonna keep on singing loudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna keep on loving boldly. We're gonna keep on loving boldly. We're gonna keep on loving boldly. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna reach across our borders. We're gonna reach across our borders. Gonna reach across our borders. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna keep on moving forward. We're gonna keep on moving forward. We're gonna keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Never turning back. Never turning back.